Hey, how are you?
I am fantastic. Thanks for joining me for this chat, Derek. I really appreciate that. So we have Derrick Borte with us. He is a fantastic filmmaker, celebrated, really known for the comedy The Joneses. I got introduced to him with this film, a fantastic film that I got a chance to see, American Dreamer, and that was really an amazing film. And then I started checking out your work, and I was so impressed. Indie filmmaking is not easy, of course, as I know from a little bit from experience now. But you
Sure.
have done it, and you have mastered it. So congratulations on this fantastic film that everybody's going crazy about, or I guess you have heard this joke a lot at this point, going unhinged about,
Yeah,
called
yeah.
Unhinged. So congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
So last time I spoke to you was when you that fantastic film had come out, and it was really a joy to watch. A couple years down, and I see this trailer, and I see you're director, and I was like really excited and blown at the same time. So can you tell us a little bit, how did you land to your next project? And the context is also because for indie filmmakers, it's always like the hustle in some ways. And of course, you've done a lot of great work, but still, how did you land up to this project?
Well, based on American Dreamer, I was meeting with Solstice Studios, and they were a big fan of the film, and just said, look, we want to do some work with you. We want to do something with you, and I just sort of took it as a general meeting and didn't really hold my breath. And then a week later, they said, we just bought this script. We want you to read it. Think you'd really like it. So I read the script, and I was hooked immediately, and we just kind of took off from there. So it's just, sometimes these things happen very quickly, and other times they take years to put together. So this just happened to be one that kind of fell into place on the faster side.
Right. And that's for young and indie filmmakers to learn that when you do something good, there's a momentum that you have to use. Like American Dreamer, as we all know, had really good reviews and really good momentum, and you have to really run with it because
Right,
things
right.
get old really fast. But next thing, I mean, you love the script, but the script is written by Carl Ellsworth. Like he is an amazing screenwriter, and Disturbia is one of my favorite films. So can you share a little bit of experience of working with like Car, or did you work with him on his script, or the script came to you and you just took it from there, or did you? How involved he was once the script was handed to you?
Not very. I mean, we spoke a few times, but he wasn't really involved much past that point. But obviously his record speaks for itself, and he
You're a
gets
writer too, right? So I mean, you're director, but you're also a writer. So I'm just wondering, like, does that pitch in, or how does that work? Like, rewrites a little bit.
I think that it's different when it's somebody else's work. It's for me, it's I've written some of the projects that some of the films I've made, I wrote or I wrote with my writing partner, and other times the script is just there, and you kind of just have to interpret it and try to respect the material in whatever way you can. So it's different each time.
Right. And last time when we talked, you told me one of the things that you enjoy the most about filmmaking process is casting, and this, I mean, and of course you work with a lot of talented people and Hollywood actors and celebrities, but this is we're talking Russell Crowe here, right? So how did that end up happening, casting of Russell Crowe, and how was that experience for you to work with Russell?
Well, the casting part was, when you're starting to put together your cast, and you're making your list of people that you think could play each role. There's always one at the top that you just kind of put on there that maybe you don't feel like is that realistic, but you just got to put the name there anyway, because in a perfect world,
Okay.
that's the person you'd want for the role, and that was Russell in this instance, and I thought of him when reading the script the first time, and
Right.
it just kind of happened in a way that he responded to the script. He asked to meet with me. We had a meeting, um, and then he ended up watching American Dreamer,
Mm.
and really was a big fan of the film. And so then we spoke again, and I think that we just sort of kept talking, and then all of a sudden he's doing the film, and working with him was really amazing in that, I mean, he works at such a high level and brings so much to the table that he gets everyone on set to raise their game, just because you just feel like you have to, and myself included. I mean, the things I learned just from working with him. I mean, he probably knows more about what every single person not only is supposed to be doing on set, but what they are doing on set. And he, as someone who gives his all and shows up and works at a very high level every day, he expects the same thing out of everyone else. And it was a great dynamic. It definitely kept me learning and growing through the whole process.
Was there any sort of pressure or any sort of I guess besides Russell Crowe being an Oscar-winning celebrated actor, he's also known in the industry for and people have their perceptions, of course. But he's a very passionate actor. Of course, we all know that. So was there any sort of pressure, and how did you bring it all together? Because as a director, you are the captain of the ship, right? So at the end of the day, regardless of who you're working with, you have to have that control to make sure you get what you feel is right for the film. So how do you manage that, the pressure and the performance and everything?
Well, first off, is there any pressure? Absolutely. I mean, when you're making the first film that the new studio is putting into production, and you're heading to New Orleans during hurricane season to try to pull this off, there's a tremendous amount of pressure. And I think that you know working with Russell, that brought a different kind of pressure. But however, I mean, everything that he offered as such a generous person and actor really helped me deal with some of the other obstacles, some of the other challenges I had. So look, there's always pressure, even if it's a a small indie film. There's pressure because you have a limited amount of resources, and you've got your objectives for the day, and if you don't make your day, you don't know how you're going to get what you need for the scene. and,
Right.
and so that exists, whether it's a $400,000 film like American Dreamer was, or a $30 million film like Unhinged. I mean, the scale may be a little different, but the going to work every day and what you have to do is really pretty much the same.
Right, right. That's great to know. That's great information. Thank you for sharing that. Let's talk about a little bit about the film, right? Everybody can check out the trailer, and we'll have the link here too. But it's as unhinged and crazy and unhinged as it gets. I guess that joke will never get old as long as we're talking about this film. So how was making the process of making this film on this kind of subject? Because now it's not just something that it's not just about crazy performances, but it is like mental health issues. There is also some are sort of social issues. Like you see a lot happening around that. So how was the research process, and how did it all turn out for you, and how did you make it happen to bring it authentic and not make it a caricature?
Um, well, let's hope I made it happen. We'll see. But I think that you know, initially working with Russell, trying to find this character, trying to find a way into to a character who's at that point really already hit rock bottom and lost all really humanity that he had. I mean, um, you know, we looked at cases of where where people do things like drive their car into a crowd of people, or take an AK-47 out on a concert full of people, things like that, or you know,
Right, right,
and it seems like one of the common denominators is this feeling of being invisible, being left behind by society, and let down by the institutions that you thought were there to protect you, or there to sort of reinforce order, and sort of feeling let down by that and becoming a nihilist, believing in nothing, and feeling invisible, feeling like you have no voice, and then that turning into anger, rage, and then inevitably violence as a way to feel like you have a voice again. And it seems like that was, a common thing that we found in reading about these kind of incidents, and so we kind of tried to embrace that in a way where you don't want to give someone who does something this horrible one reason to do it, because then it becomes, oh, he's just a guy who lost his job and he's mad, or
right.
he's just a guy who lost his wife and he's mad. I mean, it had to be kind of a mix of these things to get someone to the point where they would do some of the things that his character does in this film. So that was, the initial, work that we did, initial research that we did, just trying to find that, because we just didn't want him to be a one-note character. Um, so, that was, kind of the more heady portion of some of the things we did. And on top of that, we also wanted to make a thrill ride. We wanted to make something that was entertaining, that was
It
that was
is.
edge of
That's
your seat kind of thrill ride. And I think that, look, part of that was breaking out Matchbox cars, with my stunt team, camera team, and visual effects team, and saying, what if we did this? And I could see, everybody wants to say yes to the director, so they want to figure out how do we do that. And so we're
right.
playing with cars, trying to say, how do we do something you know, that's exciting on our budget, maybe we haven't seen before, maybe we have, maybe it's you never know where these things come from, but you play with Matchbox cars and you start to kind of figure it out, and then the stunt guy will say, well, if I did this, we could put a camera here and do that, and it's just like that's the fun part. It's hard work, but that was a lot of fun every day trying to figure out how to shoot this thing.
Right, right. And yes, you're right. It is very entertaining as well. And then, of course, I think part of it is to see Russell Crowe going unhinged is entertaining, anyways. So
Absolutely.
there's that aspect of it. But it also speaks to the time that we live in, right? We are all a little unhinged in last few years, and more so in last few months. Right, with everything going. So let's change the gears a little bit and talk about that. How has this COVID-19 quarantine slash break in life has been for you? I mean, of course, you're bringing the first one of the first films in theaters, so that's of course going to be exciting. But keeping that aside, how's it? Because as you can see, my quarantine hair, I'm like, I cut it and then it grew again. And I'm like, I'm just going to bleach it, do something just so that my life is exciting. I see you have the quarantine beard going
I
a
do,
little
yeah,
bit.
absolutely.
So how have the things been?
I think that initially it was a little crazy because we had to deliver the film and
Right.
everything was shut down. So I set up a command center real-time screening room in my house where I could work with my composer who was in Spain. I could work with the sound and editorial departments in LA, and visual effects in Vancouver, and even actors in Australia. And we would be looking at the same thing, knowing that the conversation was apples to apples, and that we were hearing and seeing the same thing. So we had to finish the film virtually, which I learned a lot in terms of what's possible. I don't know that I would want to do it again, but it was we were able to do it, and I think we delivered the finished product at a high level. And I think that you know that was a huge challenge. But having gotten through that, the rest of this kind of lockdown has been, while the reasons are horrible, and the fact that people are suffering is really obviously, in the forefront, my mind. But at the same time, it's been a great forced lockdown for me because I haven't had that kind of downtime in a long time. So I got to spend some time with my family. I got to, just kind of catch up on things that I don't normally get to do, and got a lot of writing done. And then now here we are with the theaters opening back up, and just even that is tricky in that it's exciting to have the first wide release film out in theaters, uh, and yet it comes with a tremendous amount of pressure to know that the people in charge are doing the right thing to make it a safe movie going experience. So it's been since we shut down March 4th, or I think it was March 4th. I mean, it's been a
Right.
kind of a wild ride, along the way. So here we are, and exciting times opening up on the 21st, and hopefully, I think 44 states are open, and they're doing everything they can, from social distancing to touchless entries to checkerboard seating to disinfectants on the seats and in the theaters and ventilation. I mean, it seems like they're doing everything they need to do to make it a safe movie going environment.
Right, right, and it's already had quite a successful release, especially for the times that we are in Europe, right, in Germany and some of the other places, and it's been a number one movie and successful, despite the challenges that we're in, which is, of course, we're all struggling, and it's hard to bring a film out. So, but
Yeah.
and congratulations on that, and that's. It's one of the first here, so that's I'm sure it comes with a lot of pressure, but it's exciting too. I believe it's always nice to have your film put on the big screen, right? That's what as filmmakers we work aspire towards. I feel there's a value to that. But on that point, what do you feel like the way things are changing? Because now we are seeing, like, so to say, big budget action movies to everything else, going on streaming. Mulan is coming on streaming now. So even like multi-$100+ million big budget movies are also hitting the streaming. And with all of that, and as an independent filmmaker yourself, because you've seen the struggle of our filmmakers to bring film to the audience, right? So definitely, I believe that streaming does help you with that, but it also takes away from that fantastic experience of being in a in a theater. So what's your overall feeling on the way streaming's changing the storytelling and distribution primarily on that aspect? How do you feel about that?
Well, I mean, I think that digital has just opened up the floodgates as far as a demand for content. So, it does um, uh, help create a fertile environment for creating that content. If you know you can just get a digital, get on a platform for distribution. So I think there's positives there just in terms of the opportunity it creates. Um, and I think some content is fine for streaming. I think it's this film Unhinged, to me, is something that was really made for the theatrical experience based on Solstice's mandate that that's what they were going to do. And it really does play well, not only on a big screen, but in that communal immersive environment where the tension is shared among all the people watching it together at the same time. And I think that each project's different. I think that the thought of someone watching Unhinged on a small iPhone is a little unnerving to me. But at the same time, you want eyes on your work. So, hopefully the theatrical rollout goes well, but then it'll be available for streaming, I'm sure, shortly after that. So, I think I just look for the positives and look for the opportunity created by technology, and hope that the traditional way of watching films in a theater with other people sticks around for a little longer.
Right, right. That's yeah. Well, I mean, that's so true, right? It's important to have that communal experience of big screen. It just makes the whole film experience different. You can never get that. Like I've seen some films that I did enjoy on streaming, and I'm like, this was great. I should have watched it in theater. So eventually,
Yeah, no doubt.
that's where it gets to. One thing I definitely want to ask you though, you've been in the business for a minute, and and you've made all kind of films. You've had your share of success. For our young filmmakers and independent filmmakers, and now as an deeper into the business compared to the last time I talked to you, like this business is really hard. Uh, it's really hard, especially to make money in this business. This is one of the few businesses where you are kind of expected in your early stages to work for free. There's nothing else. You flip a burger and you're not expected to work for free, even though you might be getting very little. This is a business people expect you to be. Hey, just you're an up and coming actor, director. Just work for free, right? So why, with all this experience, I think you'll be the best person in my circle to answer it. Is like, why is it that artists are not valued in our society in the same way many other jobs and professions are? Although we are keeping them sane in this time of pandemic and stay at home, people or content, everybody says is keeping them sane. But when it comes to rewarding them, or at least even just compensating them, there seems to be a disconnect in the society to give their due respect to the artists. That's how I feel. So what do you feel about that, and why do you think that is, and what can happen to change that a little bit in this world that we live in?
Wow. I mean, I think it's a good question. It's a little above my pay grade, I think. In that I still do all kinds of things for free, just because I love doing it. And it's obviously it's wonderful to be able to receive some compensation for doing something that you love to do. But I would do it anyway, and then just sort of figure out a way to deal with the consequences afterwards. But I think as far as changing the way society um, views people in the arts, I mean, I think, you know, that's a tricky question because, you know, I see in some ways that we here in the States support the arts with, in the film business, the tax rebates in different states, which encourage production and bring a lot of tax dollars to those states and to those economies where people are, into that specific film economy, like the state of Georgia, I think brings in $9 billion a year in film business.
Right.
I feel like I'm answering your question like that. That Miss Teen Oklahoma question about maps and no one having maps as a reason for not understanding geography. So I feel like I'm kind of, not really addressing it specifically, but I think that inevitably, if it was easy, everyone would do it, and I think that whether it's, look, in sports, you've got those people that are at the top that are compensated very well, but how many athletes that are even working on a professional level are still at that minimum and still have, can't aren't living on the LeBron James level. I think that
Right.
anything that's a meritocracy, you're going to have a lot of people vying for very few positions where you can do what you want to do and be compensated well. And I think part of it's just inherent in it just is what it is. I mean, um, but at the same time, look, I think that I'm all for building better filmmakers, and starting from the bottom up and finding ways to give give people a voice who maybe don't feel like they have one or don't know how to express it, and building better filmmakers from the bottom up. Whether, I mean, I volunteer with schools all the time and try to
Right.
work with people, young people that are saying, how do I get my film made? And the
Right.
news now is, if you have a phone, you can make a film. you know
Right.
um,
Right. True.
so I think that, I guess, long story short, my long-winded, nonsensical answer to your question is, it's a question that's very difficult to answer. So,
Fair enough.
I think that just talking about it is great. I think
Right,
that
right, exactly.
just engaging on the subject is great. But if I had the answer as to how to solve it, I would probably be doing something different right now and just facilitating that for people. I don't know. You never know, but
Right. No,
tricky.
but I've been grappling with that even more as I'm getting deeper into filmmaking and business for a few years myself, and how challenging it is to make money compared to my prior corporate career. And I talk to other young filmmakers, and I continuously hear that. And I've seen, and I'm sure you have, like how many talented people walk out of this because just it's impossible to sustain. So that's why I've been grappling with that more. And you're so right. I mean, there's no right answer to this. This is just a conversation to be had. With that, hopefully over time we can come up with better ways. It will never be, I guess, solved, so to say, right? Because it's a competitive world. My last question to you, of course, I know you've been very very busy with this project, so I'm assuming you don't have much time, but still, with whatever time you have, what is it have what TV shows or films and stuff you have been watching on your Netflix, Amazon, Hulu, Disney Plus? I don't know. That question has become obsolete. What's on your Netflix queue? Because there's like,
Yeah, of
what's in
course.
your
Yeah.
streaming
Now, the
queue?
two things that I've enjoyed the most, watching the most over this lockdown were The Last Dance. The doc series on the Chicago Bulls
Right.
quest for the sixth title, which was just blew me away. It's
Wow.
just so much that I didn't know behind the scenes, and that I love that. And then I just finished binging 3 seasons of Versailles on Netflix, which I mean, the storyline could not have been like, it was just so crazy, and yet you look it up, immediately I go to Wikipedia to see like what part of this is true, and the fact that really all of it was essentially true. I mean,
Wow.
what a crazy time. We think we live in a crazy time. I mean, imagine living in the court with Louis the 14th in Versailles with everything going on there. I mean, those are the two things that lately I just wrapped both of them up. So I'm looking for something new. If you have any suggestions.
Well, there's no dearth of content, but if you're into any sort of sci-fi, I watched Dark, German, and I know you have German roots. German TV Netflix original about time travel, but it's very complex. It's not just your typical sci-fi. It's one of the most complex piece of storytelling in especially in sci-fi genre that I've seen. It's and you've got multiple seasons to catch up on. It's great. I'm starting to watch like foreign content and Money Heist. I'm sure you've heard of. It's
Dark. I want
again.
to see Dark. So that's going to be that'll be next on my list.
Yeah, and I definitely want to hear from you. What did you think of it
Yeah. All right. Good.
after you watched? So, any last words? Anything else you would want to say to our audience and folks? Why they should come watch Hinge if they're still not convinced after our half hour of conversation.
Oh, I mean, look, I don't know that I'm going to convince anybody to do anything, but look, it's a great escapist thrill ride that will absolutely take you away from your daily problems for 90 minutes and get people back into the theaters in a way that's safe and enjoyable.
Right, right, no, absolutely. Everyone should definitely go check out, if possible, of course, stay safe. So, but if you can safely go do check out Unhinged. It's a fantastic, fantastic film. And Derek, I have to say, I really admire you as a filmmaker. I was fortunate to kind of land into your work and then, continue that connection. You make films that are socially relevant and, that not just entertain but tell stories that mean something beyond just what you're seeing on the screen. They leave you with something from your work that I've seen, and that's the kind of filmmaker I aspire to be. So you really inspire us filmmakers to tell stories in a powerful way, and that's just amazing. Congratulations on that, and I'm so excited, so happy for this. And I feel like this might be, if you are interested in your next with all the explosions and stuff might be your next step into DC or Marvel, if that's something you're interested in. They're bringing a lot of talented filmmakers coming from indie world. So I would love to see next that happening, so that I can say my friend is doing that. But until then, I'm sure you'll continue telling fantastic stories and making great films. So thank you so much for that, and thank you for taking the time.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. And call me anytime.
I probably will. I want to know what do you think of Dark?
All right.
Absolutely, and then some recommendations. Thanks a lot, Derek.
Thanks a
Appreciate
lot.
it.
Take care.